full scholarship offer to the Nemesis, Oklahoma State, and I decided not to go because family was important to me. And I had a great career. I loved every part of it. I loved the wrestling, I loved the training, I loved the injuries. Not the injuries so much, but they go with it. And the story with Dan Gable was, I went out to Iowa for a month to train with him, and that was the worst month of my life. You know, the easy days were the hardest days I've ever, been through, and he just showed me another level I needed to get to, and I'm glad I went, but did I ever go again? No. I stayed away from Dan Gable and the Iowa Hawkeyes, so this is quite an honor. Knowing that Dan Gable, this is the Dan Gable Museum, George Tragos, thesz Hall of Fame, being a professional wrestler as well, I had a lot of fun. I had a great career in WWE, probably a better career in TNA. I've enjoyed my careers. Everything I've done, I don't regret anything. I made a lot of bad decisions, I made a lot of great decisions. But I enjoy my life and I enjoy what I do. And after the Olympics, I had to get a real job. I got a job in pro wrestling, so I didn't want to get a real job. I love competing and performing. That's what I love to do. I met thesz about 13 years ago, right before he passed away. And he told me two things about professional wrestling. He said, one, always take the paycheck. Always take the paycheck. You gotta provide for your family. He said, always accept that. And the second thing was, he told me, don't wrestle for yourself. Wrestle for the business. Wrestle for your opponent. Make your opponent look good. Make him look better. That meant a lot to me. And when Lou passed away, and the reason I brought up Lou is because I consider him the best pro wrestler of all time. When I got into pro wrestling, I looked up to the guys that came from amateur wrestling, like the Briscoe brothers and Dr. Death Steve Williams, and when I researched further, because I knew nothing about pro wrestling, I'm sure Dan Gable doesn't know anything about pro wrestling, I didn't either, because I was always told not to watch it, don't bother with it, do what you do, and go out there and win the gold. I got involved in pro wrestling and I did some research, and I found out how good thesz was. He was the shooter, he was the hooker, he was the guy with the wrestling moves, the wrestling holds, and the submissions. Stuff that I like to do. And I was able to add Lou's repertoire into mine. I've always wanted to do something different. I wanted good psychology. I wanted to be able to entertain the fans. And I've done it the best I could. And when he passed away, Charlie thesz sent me a letter. And she told me about Lou's passing. And Lou did an interview about me. And I wanted to read this. The WWE interviewed thesz about me, and I was only in the business 2 years. I didn't know what an impact I had right away until I read this, and I got better and better, which is kind of frightening. But to have thesz write this about me was the greatest thing in the world. I mean, he was my Dan Gable in pro wrestling. So I wanted to read this, and this is thesz talking about Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is the light at the end of the tunnel to perpetuate wrestling. He has the rare full circle ability to excel in amateur and pro wrestling. Kurt has given his labor of love to perpetuate wrestling, our mutual first love in sports. When we first met, our eye contact reaction was, my brother, finally. Kurt could, in short, revolutionize wrestling, a 700 BC miracle. This came from thesz. That means the world to me. So being here, celebrating with Dan Gable, celebrating the Dan Gable Museum, being a part of this, and a part of thesz and George Tragos, this is great, man. This is the the cap at the end of my career of wrestling. And I'm nearing the end, and it feels really good. I feel good about what I've done, and it's an awesome accomplishment to be a part of this. So I just want to thank you all for coming out. I want to thank you. Thank you, guys.
World Championships. You weren't able to go, but we have those rings from USA Wrestling. One is for winning the 1995 World Championship. The other is the 96 Olympic Championship. We're going to have Dan present those to you. Just take a picture there.
How many years ago was that?
12 years.
Yeah, I didn't have to wait 12 years to get one. I'm not really, your fault?
Yeah, I didn't show up.
Well, I think they should have probably looked you up.
Yeah, send
But
that.
here they are.
Thank you.
And it's well deserved, and let's make sure, I don't know how you open them, but let's take a look at them. Yeah, this is, it says Olympic champion
World
and
champion.
world champion, so yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I don't know if he's here. Is Greg Wojciechowski still here? Greg Wojo? Did he take off? We just wanted to get 2 NCAA champions and heavyweight here. But what we're going to do is actually have Kurt come over to the mat of honor. We're going to have you sign that while you're in here. So if we could just have you go over that way.
Thank you.
No guarantees.